Okay, welcome to video 9. We're going to talk about consecutive integer word problems. So integers, we already learned, are whole numbers and they're negatives, so we don't have any fractions or decimals. But we're going to talk about consecutive integers, which means that they are the numbers next to each other on a number line. So like, for example, 0, 1, 2. Those are consecutive integers. So we use let statements to represent consecutive integers, which would be let x equal the first consecutive integer, x plus 1 gets the second one, because that's if we add 1, so say we started at 1, add 1 would get us the next one, which would be 2. Then if we go back to x, we add another 1, so that would be like x plus 1, or x plus 2 for the third consecutive integer. And this would continue for however many you have. But then if we talk about consecutive even integers, well, that means we have to skip one in the middle. So 0 to 2, not 0 to 1. Or even if the consecutive odd, it's still the same idea, from 1 to 3. So we're just skipping 1. So these consecutive even and odd actually have the same let statements. So we have these let x equal the first consecutive even integer or consecutive odd integer, x plus 2, so that we skip one in between. It's the same for even or odd. And then x plus 4, so again it's like plus 2, which would be x plus 4. And that could continue all the way through. Okay, so let's do an example together. So find 3 consecutive odd integers such that 3 times the smallest minus 2 times the largest is 3. Well, as soon as I see this, find 3 consecutive odd integers, I'm going to stop and write my let statements to represent those. So I've got my let statements to represent 3 consecutive odd integers, and then the such that means I'm going to start writing the equation. 3 times the smallest. Well, the smallest one would be x, so 3x. Then it says minus 2, so I'm just going to subtract 2 times the largest. So 2 parentheses, the largest one would be the x plus 4. Is means equal, so I'm going to have an equal sign, 3, so equals 3. So now that I have it, and I added parentheses around x, you don't have to, but you can, because when we distribute this, it's just going to become 3x. But in the next one, we have to distribute the negative 2 to both things inside, and when we do that, we get 3x minus 2x minus 8. Then I have like terms over here. 3x minus 2x gives me x. So we get x minus 8 equals 3. Then since we're subtracting 8 to get x by itself, I need to add 8 to both sides. And when we add 8 to the 3, we get 11. So this is actually only part of our answer. So I know x is 11, but that's not the first 3. So now I have to put them back in my let statement. So the first one is 11, which is an odd integer, so that's a good answer. And then we sub in x to each let statement. So x plus 2, 11 plus 2 gives me 13. X plus 14, or plus 4, which would be the 11 plus 4 gives me 15. And when I look at my answers, I can see that they are consecutive, meaning they go in order of odd integers, 11 and then 13 and then 15. So those seem like good answers to me. If we get a decimal answer or something like this for these questions, that should be a red flag that we did something wrong, because they're integers, so they shouldn't be fractions or decimals. Okay, so in this next one, find 2 consecutive even integers. So as soon as I see that, I'm going to stop and start with my let statements. So it was 2 of them, even integers, so x is the first consecutive even. Then to skip the odd one and get to the next even, we have to add 2. Then I see the word such that, so that means I'm going to start writing my equation. 4 times the larger, so the larger one is x plus 2. So 4 parentheses x plus 2 exceeds. So that means that this side is already higher. So it exceeds what? 3 times the smaller. So now I'm going to do an equal sign because this is already higher. Then 3 times the smaller, so 3 times x, by 2. So I'm going to add 2 to the other side so that it makes them even. Okay, so now that I have my statement set up, I can just go ahead and solve. So we're going to distribute on this side to get 4x squared plus 8 equals, and then 3 times x is 3x plus 2. Now row over row, bring the smaller x over, so 3x is going to move to the other side by subtracting. And when we do that, we get x plus 8 equals 2, but now x is not moved by itself, so we have to subtract 8 to both sides. And when we do that, we get x equals negative 6. But that's only one of our answers. Remember that we wanted to find 2 consecutive even integers. So it's good that that one is even and it is an integer. So now we just have to put it in place of the first one and then sub it in to the second consecutive even integer to find out what that one is. So the first consecutive integer is even integer is negative 6. Negative 6 plus 2 actually gives me negative 4. So those are my 2 answers. Negative 6 and negative 4. And we'll go over this more in class. Have a good night.